Welcome to the DC Life Uncensored, presented by the Fight Shop New Mexico. Damage Control Mouth Guards, international strategic partners, the best security firm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm Micah Frankel, your host from CageMinds.com. We were not here last week as the previous week's episode took us half a week to get up, so we wanted to give episode 49 some time to get out there. Here is episode 50. We're going to kick it off with your Bellator 162 recap. Starting it off on the prelims, recap it. Steve Garcia looked to be back to form with his striking. Over-aggressive a couple times, but a new wrinkle with some timely takedowns. A big decision win for Steve Garcia, getting back in the win column, defeating Ronnie Lawrence. Ricky Rainey was able to stifle the ground game of Gilbert Smith and getting unanimous decision. Julia Budd controlled the striking, took it to the ground when she needed, and was able to score a victory over Arlene Blanco. And those were some big moments from the Spike.com prelims, how our interviewees from episode 48 did. Now, as we transition to the Spike TV main card, it started off with a brawl between AJ Matthews and Hisaki Koto. It was Kato landing his left kicks, his left punches, and finding the TKO, which is seconds left in the first round. Both men landed hard strikes, but it was Kato finding the finish. The man goes out to strike and is going to knock out or get knocked out. Big win for Kato, always bringing it. Talking about a big win, Goichi Yamaguchi moves up a weight class from featherweight to lightweight. Gets taken to the ground by Ryan Couture and then finds the armbar. 1 minute, 1 second of the first round. Goichi said he could look even better up a weight class, and that just may be the case. The co-main event, Bobby Lashley showed off some new wrinkles in his striking to get on the inside, but then went back to his old tricks, take down, ground and pound, beat up Josh Applett. In the second round, Applett gave up his neck from a wrestling ride as Lashley was on the side. Lashley, rear naked choke, no hooks in, big man-squeezing arms of the monster, finding the submission victory. The main event, you had Alexander Shlemenko, Kendall Grove. Shlemenko, the former Bellator middleweight champion, wants to make another run at the title and seems to be in form with his performance and ready to do such as he showed off his spinning techniques, was able to keep Grove off balance, and even though you see them coming, they were still landing and landing hard, including the kicks to the body. Minute 43 in the first round, a TKO win for Shlemenko. It was a left hook to the body, right hook to the chin. More looked like Grove crumbled from the left hook to the body. Couple follow-up punches. Still a very accurate, dangerous striker. The Storm Shlemenko looking to make a run at who may ever hold that middleweight title, as Rafael Carvalho and Melvin Manhoef will be rematching. It should be Manhoef's title. It was a bad decision. They'll do war one more time, and then I know Shlemenko wants right back in there at 185 looking for his title. Well, as we're talking about Bellator, we're heading into another Bellator fight week. Bellator 163 at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. Huge night of fights. I gotta say, the prelims, for me at least, are taking a step back from the great card that we saw at 162. We do have James Boren and at 6-0 and Tim Karen at 5-0. A couple prospects to be keeping an eye out for. Also, the MMA debut of very highly touted American collegiate Olympic hopeful Ed Ruth. His debut. We know, just like Joey Davis, we know, like with Baby Slice, Bellator is cultivating and trying to guide young fighters so that they can grow this crop and have a great division, building something from the ground and cultivating these young talents. So it's to make an MMA division, but starting it off with a boxing mentality of guiding these young fighters. But Ed Ruth, watch out for him. Also on those Spike.com prelims, Sergey Karatanov, the Strikeforce vet, who's been hiding out in M1 for the last couple of years on a 5-fight win streak, taking on Javi Ayala. Ayala, a Bellator vet who somewhat unheralded young man at 28 years old, but has wins over guys like Thiago Santos, Eric Prindle, Rafael Butler, and Roy Broughton if you are a Bellator historian like myself. He's worked his way into a big position. He did lose to Carlos Simunafana, who did get the fight with Mitrione, but bouncing back with a TKO win over Roy Broughton earns him the fight with Karatanov, a highly sought veteran. 23-5, 5-fight win streak, a dual threat kickboxing and submitting people. Karatanov will be looking to get into the Bellator heavyweight tournament that was alluded to after Bobby Lashley's victory at Bellator 162. But continuing talking about Bellator 163, we got some money-weight fights as we get towards the main card. You're going to also have the women. We'll start off there. Marlis Kunin looking to rebound from the loss to Alexis Defray, taking on Tatiana Nogueira, who is making her debut. Nogueira, 4 wins via the submission, 2 via the knockout, 6 stoppages, and 6 wins. Horribly unexperienced in the MMA realm, 6 fights to Kunin, who will be heading into her 31st fight. But Nogueira has been a finisher, and we've seen that Kunin is now looking to rebound coming off of a submission loss. Only been submitted twice in her career, but she's coming off of it. Is she in the downslope of her career? Can Kunin show off more diversity? You would say that in this fight, she would be more... Well, it would be better served for Kunin to keep this fight standing, use her striking, but the majority of her fights do hit the ground where it could be anybody's game. So a big women's fight. But for Bellator, you'd love to see Marlis Kunin get the victory to again try to line up Kunin versus Bud to fight for the Bellator women's first ever featherweight title fight. I'm not sure how that works out though. And then, after the women, we get to the money-weight division. For this purposes, it's actually welterweight, but it's money-weight because coming off of a loss to Douglas Lima that ended a 5-fight win streak, Paul Daly, Semtex, welterweight perennial title challenger, will be looking to start a new win streak when he takes on Derek Anderson, a man that I feel should be the lightweight number 1 contender, who's won 2 in a row over Syed Awad and Patricky Freire. Derek Anderson, 6 feet tall. He's actually the bigger man here, even though he's moving up from 55 to 70, as Semtex stands at about 5'9". They are both striking-centric fighters. Anderson is more of the plethora of strikes guy, even though with his 14 wins, 5 knockouts, 6 submissions, he can hurt you, finish you on the ground. He uses his big frame. We've seen from guys like Syed Awad and Patricky Freire, both of those wins, Anderson's chin has withstood major punishment and eaten some big shots. Now, I know that sounds appetizing to Daly. Anderson is open to be hit. Same can be said for Daly, who looked slow and was letting Douglas Lima control the pace and the range of where their last fight took place at. This is what costs Daly. He's going to have to deal with those same physical attributes. Anderson is slightly smaller than Lima, but Lima is a huge welterweight. Anderson is a ginormous lightweight, still having the advantage over the normal welterweight here. Anderson will be looking to use technical striking, combinations, and probably put together more kicks and beat up the legs of Daly, who's going to be looking for the big shot, but he needs to put together combinations and look at this as a tactical point fight because Anderson has shown such a great chin. That is one money-weight fight, and the other one is the co-main event. Brendan Ward, coming off of a knee bar, being submitted, loss from Cyborg Santos, is going to take on Syed Awad. Syed Awad looking to rebound from the decision loss to Derek Anderson, but did TKO Cyborg Santos on a short notice up at 170 after Cyborg beat Ward. So we know that Michael Venom Page destroyed Cyborg with a knee. Brendan Ward's best way to avenge his losses to beat the guy that beat the guy he lost to. Ward has a wrestling advantage, in my opinion, in this fight, whereas once they hit the mat, though, the grappling and submission advantage shifts over to Awad. Awad, though, is going to be the smaller guy. We've seen his power, though, transitions up weight classes. Can he hurt Ward, who has a very solid boxing base? Ward is actually a guy that dropped down from 85 to 70, did work in trying to get up to that title fight, got overzealous in the fight against Cyborg, against the more technical jiu-jitsu practitioner. Awad comes into this fight as the underdog, as the smaller fighter, but that man has two hands and a lot of power in them. It leads us up to our main event where the undefeated light heavyweight champion Liam McGeary defends his title against lightweight tournament Grand Prix winner Phil Davis. Phil Davis 3-0 inside of the Bellator cage, 2 wins in one night, coming off of his tactical, strategic win over King Mo. What I mean is Phil Davis has the ability to follow a game plan and use his strengths and his length and his speed getting in and out with his kicking game that it could bore you to sleep. When Phil Davis loses, or when athletic guys have been able to stop his takedowns and stifle him with their striking, McGeary has shown no takedown defense, but an ability to pull off submissions off his back, unheralded for the 205-pound division. You have to figure in this fight, though, that if Davis is getting hit with shots, he does have the ability to get a takedown, to stifle McGeary's momentum, and probably land some shots. We've never seen Davis submitted, and we've seen him as one of the best heavyweight grapplers there is. He can stick to a game plan, and that ability makes him the favorite. The competition that he's defeated makes him the favorite. Even though Liam McGeary, coming off of a huge win over a legend like Tito Ortiz is over the hill, and I don't see that Phil Davis gets stopped in the same way. This is huge for Bellator. Can McGeary, your brought up and bred champion, beat the big free agent that's came over from the UFC? We've already seen Korshakov prove his weight in being able to beat Ben Henderson, but this is another level because Henderson was moving up a weight class. Davis versus McGeary is intriguing on such a level right here. From can a Bellator fighter break that imaginary seal? Where do you put him overall in the world if he pulls off this win? Or do we just think of Phil Davis, that he is as dominant as we've always seen? I gotta believe that Phil Davis, with his technicalness, has the advantage on this fight, but he doesn't like to get hit. McGeary, what can he do to show the striking that we haven't been able to see in a while? He's taking on a wrestler, which is a dangerous proposition. I gotta go with Davis to win this one. It'll be a fun night of fights, even though I think the prelims are taking a step back to not great matchmaking from Bellator. It is a very solid main card to tune into Spike TV and check out this Friday night. When the DC Life Uncensored returns, we're going to dive into what Saturday looks like. We just told you about this Friday night's action. This Saturday, there's Glory and the UFC. We'll get into that when the DC Life Uncensored returns.
We're a dental laboratory that specializes in protective mouth guards for all sports. With the input and collaboration of professional athletes, dentists, and chemical engineers, Damage Control offers protection that is up to 417% greater than the competition, and a great fit that will make you forget you're even wearing a mouth guard. UFC champions, professional bull riding champions, and Mr. Olympian champions. These are athletes that depend on us for the ultimate protection. It's the most comfortable, most protective, and best fitting mouth guard. Breathe better, feel better, play better with the Damage Control mouth guard.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security patrol and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063, or online at callisp.com. You're back with the DC Life Uncensored, and now we're going to talk about what's going on Saturday. Saturday, Glory Kickboxing, one of the world's top kickboxing organizations, is presenting Glory 35 Nice in France. And you always have that with two parts. The Glory Super Fight Series on UFC Fight Pass, and then the main card on ESPN3. For the Super Fight Series on UFC Fight Pass, Josh Johnson versus Sergey Adamchuk, a lightweight bout. Canada versus a Dutch-trained former featherweight Glory champion. I feel is going to be the best bout of them. And I'm very excited to see how John does if he can pressure the very technical Adam Chuck enough to get the victory. Now, the main card and the main event, we'll see. Well, on the main card, you're going to see a 4-man heavyweight contender tournament, not to mention the co-main event of Zenedine Hammerlane versus Pavel Zunachik. A lot of knockouts to be had. Benjamin Adebayo looking to again win another tournament. He's already done it twice in Glory. Jafari Wilness, the brother of Jason Wilness, the Glory middleweight champion, wants to bring back another title belt to the family. So a lot of prestige on the line in the tournament. The main event with the Glory light heavyweight title on the line, Artem Volodhav, a very technical, well-rounded kickboxer, taking on the power puncher Zach Muikasa. I gotta like the champion Zagatov to retain his title because of his ability to use leg kicks, move around, but Muikasa has that one-shot knockout power, even with the big 10, 12-ounce gloves on. If you have the ability to do it during the day, it's going to be Saturday for us here in the United States, I would check out Glory 35. I love the action-packed striking, and the lack of clinching, the lack of groundwork, but still the ability to throw kicks and knees in the striking realm. I love seeing that, the versatility, and there's always guaranteed to be a lot of aggression and big knockouts when you watch a Glory event. Now that gets your blood pumping so that we can look towards UFC Fight Night 98, UFC Fight Night Mexico City, taking place on, of course, UFC Fight Pass and Fox Sports 1 for some prelims and the main card. This event, I'm in love with this main event. Headlining the show is going to be Rafael dos Anjos versus Tony Ferguson. Can the former champion get back on a winning path? Will Ferguson be able to continue his enormous win streak? The striking, as we've seen with his Muay Thai, he comes forward. He's been getting better all the time with Dos Anjos, a world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Ferguson has the raw, natural, athletic advantage in this fight. I believe that Ferguson has the more well-rounded wrestling game and is very awkward in everything he does. So even going to be dangerous for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner like Dos Anjos with those long limbs, the arms, the legs, the awkward ways that Ferguson gets chokes or dives for leg locks. It is a very interesting fight. And I'm not sure if either guy has really fought a guy that can mimic either one, even though that body-wise you would say that Nate Diaz is very comparable to Ferguson. It is not the same kind of fighting style, movement, and use of their skill. So it is a different test for Dos Anjos. Ferguson with the 8-fight win streak, I gotta say, I hope he wins this fight because I want to see Ferguson and Nurmagomedov get their rightful title shots, unlike a shit-talking piece of trash like Conor McGregor who dives ahead of the division. But I'm getting off task. Tony Ferguson, though, did show an ability to get hit against Landon Venata, showing holes in his defense, but showed the ability to recover, stay in his game plan, and come forward with pressure. Nice, clean jabs. The cleaner strikes, that could be the advantage, especially the way he works his jab and goes straight. Again, I like Ferguson in this fight, but you can never count out the champ. Dos Anjos, not like it's going to be a blowout. The main card is also going to see Martin Bravo and Claudio Pugliares battling for the tough Latino Season 3 title. Don't know if you guys kept up with the show. I will admit I was not on my Fight Pass. I don't keep up with the international Ultimate Fighters. I wait to see what the guys do once they get into the cage and once they're actually in the octagon fighting in the UFC. But the main card has a bunch of really tantalizing, interesting fights, I feel. The lightweight division, you got Diego Sanchez versus Marcin Held. Held coming over from Bellator. He's Poland's top lightweight. I believe their best male fighter. What can he do against the Nightmare, against the pressure, the pace of Diego Sanchez? But Sanchez, his chin and that ability to take abuse after so many epic wars may be finally changing to where he's had that max of abuse. It looked that way against Joe Lozon. I've seen the man in practice here a couple times at the Jackson Winks in preparation for this camp, and he's actually looked phenomenal. If the Diego Sanchez I saw in the gym shows up in the octagon on Saturday night, I think most people would consider this an upset. Can Marcin Held handle the pressure of these bright lights? He's going to enemy territory. You got to know in Mexico City, it's going to be a ravenous crowd for Diego Sanchez. Can Marcin Held capitalize on momentum like Eddie Alvarez did coming over from Bellator? And unlike Will Brooks. So you could go either way. Brooks has struggled. Alvarez has found himself in a position as the world champion. Can Marcin Held follow that same kind of... Which one will he follow in coming over from Bellator? Will he gain the momentum? And where are the new skills that we're going to see from Held? Because early in his career, a one-dimensional leg lock artist, going and diving on the legs, looking for his submissions. His wrestling, his striking has incrementally got better fight by fight. I believe he's lighter on his feet, and I think he's primed to be able to defeat Sanchez because he keeps getting better, and I think there's a ceiling on where Sanchez stopped getting better and where the amount of damage he has taken is playing against him. Also on the main card, he was supposed to fight in Milan. Instead, he's on the main card in Mexico City. Ricardo Lamas takes on Charles Oliveira. Lamas has the pressure style of where he likes to get in and use his wrestling and his grappling and really stay in your face. Oliveira struggled against Anthony Pettis in his last fight, eating body kicks. If you're Lamas, you got to know to work the body. Oliveira will look to use his reach advantage, and when it hits the ground, we believe he's the better all-around grappler. Giving him a little longer with Pettis, he might have got the submission, but he doesn't seem to have the strength, Oliveira, at this weight class. The wrestler, Lamas, I think has the advantage in this one. It's going to be his ground and pound. It's going to be his takedowns. It's going to be his pace, trying to wear out his opponent. Being on the bottom, not a good place to be. If Oliveira wins, it's by pulling off a submission, getting a choke, and catching Lamas in a transition. Main card, also going to see Beneil Dariush and Rashid Magomedov. Really great striking, as you have the technicalness of Magomedov versus the Muay Thai of Dariush. Dariush, though, is a better grappler and is the higher ranked fighter. I think he's going to have an advantage here of being able to switch up the fight and take it to the ground when he feels the need to do that. The ladies also hit the main card with Alexa Grasso and Heather Clark battling it out. Two boxing-centric strikers. Can the undefeated Grasso withstand the pressure of fighting at home, her UFC debut in Mexico City, undefeated, should be the number one contender in Invicta for the strawweight title, but has been moved up to the UFC strawweight division, and I believe is one of their top of Mexico, one of the nation's top hopes to become a UFC world champion, along with people like Yair Rodriguez. But can Grasso live up to all that expectation, all the hype? Clark is a weathered veteran that has been through wars and knows what to expect from a big hostile crowd. She's felt this before. She's not going to be deterred. She's not going to be intimidated, and she will come out to fight immediately, having already been overseas in an octagon against a hostile crowd. Clark will be primed and mentally ready for this. It all comes down to, can Grasso mentally get over how big of a moment this is for her? When they get in there, you got to believe that it's going to be a dogfight in the boxing, as that's where they're both good at. Clark possibly has the advantage on the ground. She's been doing it longer, hitting wrestling to jiu-jitsu transitions. She was here with a very good grappling camp in Latrell's Yeast, got in some great sparring around town, and also was working with Claudia Gadella. So you know that her grappling and jiu-jitsu is going to be at a level that we haven't seen before, and that could bode in her favor. The striking helps get it to the ground because she can't become a wrestler. That's not who Heather is. But it's boxer versus boxer. Could that wrestling play the advantage, or will the natural skill of Alexa Grasso, who we saw her outbox somebody like Jody Escobar in Invicta. Is that the recipe to just keep doing what you're doing, hurting someone and making them pay on the feet? Another fight that's going to jump off the card for being action-packed is Eric Perez versus Felipe Arantes. This is going to be kickboxing and aggression. I don't know if either one of these two gentlemen ought to take a step back, but they both come forward, definitely, and they both throw crazy techniques. That is probably your fight of the night. Eric Perez, Felipe Arantes, they're going to get into a nasty war. Smiling Sam Alvey's on the card against Alex Nicholson. Someone's getting finished in that fight as both guys go for it at every moment. On the sad end of this card, we got to bring it up. Guido Canati versus Marco Beltran. Counsel from the car as Guido was notified by USADA of a possible violation. So that fight off the card. Never can there just be a card without a USADA problem. Just looking for when the sport is cleaned up. I understand it's all necessary. It's just a little disappointing when it happens. So that's been our preview of everything to look forward to. We talked about Bellator. We've now been talking about the UFC. And when we get back, we're going to get into some interviews. It's time to talk with. We got Kevin Croom and Angelo Sanchez coming up. More DC Life Uncensored in just a moment.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
We're a dental laboratory that specializes in protective mouth guards for all sports. With the input and collaboration of professional athletes, dentists, and chemical engineers, Damage Control offers protection that is up to 417% greater than the competition. And a great fit that will make you forget you're even wearing a mouth guard. UFC champions, professional bull riding champions, and Mr. Olympian champions. These are athletes that depend on us for the ultimate protection. It's the most comfortable, most protective, and best fitting mouth guard. Breathe better, feel better, play better with the Damage Control mouth guard.
ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security, patrol, and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063. 6063 or online at callisp.com. Welcome back to the DC Life Uncensored. Right now, we're going to go to the callisp.com hotline to talk with Latrell Yee MMA's Kevin Croom, the hard-hitting hillbilly, going to be in action traveling to Japan, Shuto, on November 12th. Thank you for the time right now. How you doing, Kevin?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Man. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and super excited, man. It's I've been waiting for a chance like this to come up, and I've been turning down a bunch of fights that just like I want to fight and I need the money, but they just weren't worth it, and just low paid fights and. I've been turned down a bunch of those, and finally the right opportunity came through, and it's in Japan, which is amazing.
I believe it's 5 boxing fights, and then you've had about 22 cage fights, right?
Yeah, I'm 17-6.
23.
As a pro. Yeah, and then I think I had six boxing fights maybe.
So
man, I don't know. It's hard to keep up.
So it's like 30 fights. So you have to look at this as a business. The wear and tear, what you put your body through. Has that been like a different metamorphosis for you of a mindset? Because I know there was a couple of years you just said yes to every single fight that was offered. You had a torrent pace. Is it different now to need to worry about the financials, worry about the long, big-term picture? I mean, you're a veteran. You have to think about stuff like that now.
Yeah, man, most definitely. That's just part of who I am. I'm trying to fight everybody, and I'm trying to make that money, and I'm trying to get these fights, and that is one of the things that, got me a lot of hype, a lot of press is that, I do want to, I want to bang, and I want to put on a show for people, and I'm trying to knock people out, and so because of that, I also feel like, because I took whatever fight, that's also why I'm not in the big show at the moment. I took some risky fights when I didn't really need to, and it was the wrong move in my career. So now, I'm much more conscious about who I'm going to fight, because it doesn't matter, if you're the baddest dude in the world, man. Anything can happen when you get in that cage, so, I've grown up more, I think, and I am still down to bang anybody, anytime, but, just the money needs to be right, things need to be right,
Now, where does this go on, crossing things off on your to-do list, getting a fight in Japan? Because Serbia, Dagestan, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Canada, you're a world traveler, bro. Where does this, rank in it, getting to go fight in Japan?
Number one. This is number one. I've wanted to go to Japan ever since, I don't know, the Three Little Ninjas went to Japan. And, like I was a little kid watching the movies, so, yeah, man, I have been all over, and, that's what I tell myself is, I got, like, negative money in the bank account, but I've traveled the world, which, I guess that gets me through some nights, but, I'm really excited about this one, Japan, heck yeah.
Have you been able, in those other trips, to enjoy any of the aspects of the trip, or have they usually just been all business?
So I had a blast in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, at that time, I was like 6 or 7 fights deep in my win streak. I was just on the top of the world. At that time, I was unstoppable. And I had a blast in Kazakhstan. When I went to Serbia over the summer for a kickboxing fight, I had a good time until my eye got cut. My eye got cut in the fight, and after that, Serbia wasn't much fun. It's always more fun if you win, that's for sure.
And then also, do you look at it knocking stuff off the list as you've been in a pro kickboxing bout, pro boxing, pro MMA, you've done your thing at the grappling tournaments? Do you look at that as you're notching things off a list too?
I don't know. I don't know if I really have a list like that. MMA is my main thing. That's what I love, and I think I'm pretty good at. Maybe like I say like I'm kind of a jack of all trades, maybe a master of none. I think I put it all together very well, and when I do something with like just boxing or just kickboxing, I don't think I'm quite as seasoned. It's not what I do. So I don't really have a list like that, man. I just like to fight and have a good time.
Last fight, April, 26 seconds, TKO of Lenny Wheeler. How do you feel that, how could that fight have went any better according to plan? And how does that feel, getting the momentum right again? It was your first fight at that point in 7 months, rebounding from Dagestan. Tell us about the mindset and everything leading from that fight, what that's done for you.
Yeah, dude, that's top of the world, ma. After that, and you said, could that fight have gone any more according to plan? Man, that wasn't the plan. I had no clue that I was going to go out there and knock that kid out. I think that's always kind of how it happens with me. I just came out and clipped him, and yeah, man, that feels amazing, and I needed that. I got Razul in Dagestan. Razul Murad, or however you say his name, is a bad man, and I just kind of needed it. I've had a hard couple of years, and that was a great feeling. And yeah, like you said, the momentum. Of course, I'm taking that into this fight. That fight was at 45, and I knocked him out. And this fight's at 35. You know what I mean? So I know the power is going to be there. The biggest thing I have to do is I just gotta, be fluid. Like Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friends.
Tatsuya Ando, the opponent that you're going to be going out there to take on. Have you ever heard of him before you signed the contract?
No, I had not.
Have you done anything to look into what kind of obstacles he's going to present you inside the cage?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely, I have. I've watched some of his fights, and my coaches have watched a lot of film. I am better than this kid everywhere. He's very tough, and he likes to bang. It's a perfect fight for me. I have the experience. All I have to do is go out there and perform, and I believe me, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take care of business.
You want to try to repeat that one more time, Kevin? You were cutting in and out.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go take care of business. It's going to be very good.
Now, do you like the fact, and what are your thoughts on another one, I believe, on Fight Pass? So everybody back home, all the supporters get to watch you. Do you have any thoughts on being able to compete on one of those kind of platforms?
Yeah, most definitely. I want all of my friends and my family and everybody to see me fight. And Fight Pass is worldwide. So I'm gonna get fans from all over the world. That's super awesome. Like my last fight, that 26th second fight, it was supposed to be streamed, and then it ended up not, I guess. And so nobody's seen it. I haven't ever seen that fight. So I'm just excited that people are going to be able to see this. Because I'm gonna show what I can do.
This is who you are. This is what you do. You've devoted your life into it. And right now we're seeing a shift at the upper echelons of MMA. And I'm worried that we could be heading towards more an entertainment factor. When you see things like CM Punk, Dana White talking about Greg Hardy, someone that has never stepped into an MMA cage, what are your thoughts on seeing something you've devoted your life and the upper echelons are talking about celebrities?
It's rough. It's rough for me, because I approach the sport as kind of like my religion. It's the thing that saved my life. It's honestly the only thing I've ever had, and it's the only thing that's ever kept me going. And so I want to go out there and perform. Every now and then. I really like it when somebody talks some smack and then gets me mad. But I don't really like to talk shit, I want to go out there and handle it with my hands. And so, that seems that that's at the disadvantage nowadays,
Do you feel there is a thought, that there's pressure at those upper ranks that you have to talk crap, do those extra things? You can't just train and fight, which is your actual job.
Yeah, obviously we see with, Conor McGregor and, a couple other people, that's what works in, big time, big entertainment, especially in America, because, a lot of people, I feel like, a lot of people don't watch the UFC, don't understand what they're watching, It's like, that's the cool thing about fighting in Japan, those crowds are quiet over there. Everybody understands what you're doing, and, they let it happen, And in America, you got so many people just chugging beer, screaming in the camera, and wanting to see somebody punched in the face, and, they don't understand, or maybe respect the sport as much as we do. And so because of that fact, that leads to, the entertainment factor that you talked about being such a big thing.
Now then, for you, for an athlete like yourself, does that make the ventures of fighting in those other countries look more prominable because they are in a more traditional way, kind of respecting the art form over valuing a lot of those entertainment factors?
You know, man, I mean, I don't know. I could say whatever I want right now, and then you offer me a ton of money, and I'll you know, I mean, at this point in my life, I'm trying to get some reward out of all this risk I've been taking. You know, so who knows? You know, like I can't really talk about that. If somebody, you know, yeah, you know, I could talk a little smack to make a little more money, I suppose.
Right, because I'm sure growing up, little Kevin Croom was a pro wrestling fan at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I still am. I still watch, you know, Macho Man, Randy Savage. None of the new stuff, but my wrestling watching stopped at about The Rock.
But you could still have that charisma inside of you.
Yeah, I mean, I could for sure. It's, you know, and that's just something that would be part of the job, I suppose. You know, like, you know, I'm funky. You know, I mean, I could learn how to do it for sure. You know, and do it well. But you know, I like to let my work speak for myself, and so that's what I've always done thus far. But you know, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
And in all the years
it's kind of hard. It's hard when you're like in a spot that I am. I'm not signed to a division or anything. So like, who am I going to talk smack to? You know, like if you're in the UFC, you know everybody in your weight on the roster. You could talk a bunch of smack. You know.
I was also you threw me off with that one. I had something really good. All the time I've taught you, I've heard you talk smack before to some guys that have got under your skin. So is it needs to be a more organic thing too?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would say that I'm a passionate person, and maybe a little emotional at times. I don't know, you know. And when I'm getting ready to fight, I want somebody to, like you said, get under my skin. And I feel like I fight the best if I feel like this kid's disrespected me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, you know, like, but, you know, and then I guess it's a little bit easier, you know.
Now, also what I know you've been doing lately is cornering your friends. So is that something you've been doing here for a while, or is this a new thing that you've picked up?
Well, you know, it just kind of, I suppose it's new, you know. I'm coming up here to corner my buddy Jordan Espinoza this weekend in Colorado, and you know, it's new for me. You know, I'm been trying to take on a leadership role. You know, I mean, I'm the Trail U team captain, so you know, this is part of the job. If the coach can't make it, you know, I'm trying to go there and be there to support my teammates. So yeah, it is a new thing, and I'm going to do the best I can.
Have you been looking at practice or anything a little different, thinking you're going to have to be shouting out stuff and giving that direction and having to help him maintain his focus at the fight? Have you been doing anything for your own preparation for this?
Honestly, not. You know, just with Jordan, you know, just because we train together so much. You know, I mean, I know him, you know, so I feel like it's a little bit more organic. I don't really have to work at it because we're around each other all the time, you know.
You're heading out to Japan. It's a big notch on your list. It's your dream to fight out there. When you heard Shuto Japan, was there much hesitation or thought about this fight, or was this one that you jumped right on the opportunity?
Yeah, there was no hesitation. This is what I've been waiting for, and you know, I've been patiently waiting, you know. So I jumped at a chance.
Now, with all the waiting, it is a business and everything. Did you think that you might not get the opportunity you were looking for? Were there any dark moments like that?
Oh man, I mean, in this business, you got a lot of dark days. Just because I'm living the dream doesn't mean there's not a nightmare most days. You know what I mean? Like, it's rough and it's hard, you know, to be in my position and know how good you are and know how broke I am. You know, I mean, it's hard to to keep going, but somehow I'll make it through, I mean, so, and then boom, something like this happens. It can't rain all the time, am I right?
Definitely. And it's remarkable to always see your positive attitude every time I see you. Whether once I talk to you, I know you're pissed off. Usually you're walking around with a smile until you kind of ask Kevin how's it going. Then I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Kevin Croom, I gotta thank you for the time, sir. And best of luck in November. Safe travels and good luck with the cornering.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I want to shout out to my sponsors, Hillbilly Fightwear, the logo, obviously Latrell Yee, MMA, Protax, and Albuquerque Fight Shaft, of course, and Damage Control mouth guards. So, heck yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. Tokyo time, so it'll be a little bit different, but November 12th, check me out, man. I'm coming to bring the heat. Croom's doing a smash.
There'll be more DC Life Uncensored in just a moment. ISP. That's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security, patrol, and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063, or online at callisp.com.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
We're a dental laboratory that specializes in protective mouth guards for all sports. With the input and collaboration of professional athletes, dentists, and chemical engineers, Damage Control offers protection that is up to 417% greater than the competition, and a great fit that will make you forget you're even wearing a mouth guard. UFC champions, professional bull riding champions, and Mr. Olympian champions. These are athletes that depend on us for the ultimate protection. It's the most comfortable, most protective, and best fitting mouth guard. Breathe better, feel better, play better with the Damage Control mouth guard.
Welcome back to the DC Life Uncensored. Right now, we're going to be joined by former King of the Cage world champion, the Sanai Warrior, Angelo Sanchez. I guess we're calling it a comeback. Here it is. How you doing first off, sir?
Pretty good, man. Glad to be here. Always a pleasure to talk to you and be able to let everybody know what's going on.
About 22 months ago, you stepped into the AAA MMA cage, submitted Brian Castillo in the first round, rode off into the sunset in your hometown victoriously. What was it like trying to be retired?
Yeah, it was actually quite nice. Got to relax. I stopped training for about a year. Just kind of trying to enjoy life in other ways, and slowly, just started getting back into it, and it was good, man. But that itch was always there, and the more and more I saw my buddies fight, and the more and more I helped my students fight, the more and more I wanted to get back up in there and step back in that cage.
So 22 months of a retirement. How long had this thought process of, I may want to give this another go? How long had that itch been so bad that you were acknowledging it?
I'd say probably about 6 months. I started doing some tournaments. I went out to Colorado, did a couple Fight to Win tournaments out there. Yeah, man, and then slowly started, doing more sparring, helping guys getting ready. Started going down to the trails, training with those guys down there, and, got to that point where I was like, I wonder how good I am, and the best way to do it is step in that cage and find out.
So there's a big question to answer right there. When you step into the cage December 3rd, are you again fighting out of the Latrell Yee MMA?
Yeah, I'll have Coach Latrell, Ray, and also Thomas Fest, I'm doing my MMA wrestling with Coach Latrell. I'm doing my kickboxing and striking with Coach Ray Yee. And then I'm doing my jiu-jitsu out here in Santa Fe with Thomas Fest at Santa Fe Fitness and Martial Arts.
Now, were there other offers, other opportunities, or was just this the first one? And with Jackson's MMA Series 20 back up in Santa Fe, Buffalo Thunder Casino, your home area, did that make sense to have this as the return?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been getting offers, for the past year and a half on fights, whether it be boxing, whether it be MMA. It just timing wasn't right, my heart wasn't there, and all this just kind of fell into place. Like, I told myself I wasn't going to rush it, and when things worked out, they worked out, and it's one of those situations where everything's just been falling right in place. I feel good, I'm healthy, I'm happy, yeah, man, camp's going good, I got all the right tools, I got all the right people surrounding me, and I'm just excited to see what happens.
And it all got started with putting that gi back on, going to a couple classes, and getting back to your roots, right? And then it kind of built from there?
Yeah, I've actually been focusing more on my gi jiu-jitsu for the past year, trying to work towards that black belt. Yeah, man, I still got a long way to go. Still a purple belt. Still trying to put my stripes on there. But from there, started messing around with the guys, doing some no-gi, and then from there started, throwing the gloves on, doing little jits and pepper, and next thing you know, I was in the ring sparring, and yeah, man, one thing just led to the next, and it was just time to try to put my new skills to test and see where I'm at.
And now, ahead of December 3rd, it's going to be Dave Hale, the opponent. I know he's a Canadian. He's only got about 4 fights under his belt. What do you know about him?
Yeah, well, besides his 4 fights in MMA, he's also, 17-3 in professional Muay Thai. He's also a Muay Thai champion. So yeah, man, his hands are really good. He's really, really good stand-up fighter. So I'm definitely looking at him wanting to try to knock me out. But yeah, he's been in the fight game for a while. His 2-2 record, I don't think it expresses anything or shows anything for what he is or is not capable of. He's definitely a good top-net striker that's out here at one of the best caps in the world to get better. So just all that in fact lets you know that I'm definitely in for a tough fight. I'm not underestimating him. I'm not underestimating myself. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I get to test my stand-up skills against a really good, stand-up fighter. And at the same time, get to showcase my MMA skills.
So knowing that Muay Thai background, did that make this an exciting fight for you, knowing what kind of strengths he presents?
Yeah, definitely. I was offered a lot of fights. They threw a lot of names at me. This is one that I thought, made the most sense. Just given our fighting styles, it's going to be an exciting fight. I mean, whether it stays standing or whether I decide to take it to the ground, this is a good opponent to where we can put on a good show. And there's no better place for me to put on a good show than, in my hometown there at the Buffalo Thunder Casino Resort, which I love. And yeah, man, I'm going to have all my friends, all my families out there. And I want everybody to come out there, support us, and, watch me do my thing one more time.
The daily grind, you've been doing a little here and there, but the daily grind and a fight camp, has this taken some adjustment again for your body to get used to the everyday activity and this grind?
Yeah, man, the first couple weeks, I was like, I forgot this feeling. I was tired, I was sore, I didn't want to train. It got nice to, be like, you know what, I don't have to train today, so I'm just going to take it easy. But, now when you're getting ready for a fight, it's like, I don't have to train today. Well, you better get up and you better train because that's when you got to train the most. There's one thing Mr. Packer told me, one of my first coaches is like, on those days you don't want to train, that's the days you need to train the hardest because that's when it counts. Because that's when you put in, that extra work and you make that next step. And that's that fighter's mentality. So, yeah, man, it's been quite an adjustment. I feel better. My energy's all coming up. I'm starting to adjust, which is good. I got long enough time for camp, so that way I don't have to rush it. So yeah, like I said, man, packing all those pieces and watching everything come together and seeing what happens.
You've been away for so long. Does it feel like it was almost kind of a cleaning process? You get to wash away some of that stuff. You get to rehab some of those nagging injuries, and you come back with a fresher outlook. So have you felt any of those kind of moments now making the return?
Yeah, man, it's totally different. Where I was towards the end of my career, where I was fighting last time, compared to where I am now, two totally different people. I'm fighting for different reasons. I have a different mindset. I have different goals. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what I'm capable of doing, you know, as the person that I am now, you know, at where I am at in life right now. So for me, it's I'm just as interested to see what's going to happen to everybody else. I have an idea, of course. I have a goal, of course. But man, once you step in that cage, you never know. Like, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
After that win at AAA MMA, could you ever envision this moment? At that moment, were you content enough and did you believe that this was it and this was truly the end of your competing martial arts journey?
Yeah, at that point in my life, definitely. Like, I was done. Like, I didn't have the drive. Like, my mindset wasn't there. Yeah, like, I was done fighting. Like, yeah, I was good. I was content with what I've done. I was content with where I was at. And for me, that was enough, you know, at that point in time where I was in life. Now, given, you know, today, right now, where I'm at in life, am I content? You know, no, I'm not, man. There's still more I know I have to offer. Like, I tell people I probably reached about, like, 70% of my potential, you know. So my goal, again, is to be, you know, the best Angelo Sanchez person and hopefully one day be able to reach that 100% potential, you know. It's a goal a lot of us strive for, some of us never get to, and in the process, sometimes we forget what that goal is, but it's good to have that goal again and to, like, want to be the best, you know, martial artist that I can possibly in every aspect.
And Coach E are very close. What was his reaction to your return? Was it one of those things, I knew you'd be back?
You know what? He saw me in the gym again one day, and he heard I was fighting. He just came up to me and gave me a hug, and he was like, I'm excited to see, you know, the new Angelo Sanchez. I'm excited to see where you're at. Like, let's get out there and let's show everybody where you're at now. And he was happy, you know, even just to have me in the gym again, like training with the guys, being there with all the younger fighters. I'm going to say younger because obviously I'm a little bit older. I ain't that old, but I'm a little bit older than those guys. But yeah, man, like just to get in there and just, you know, bring that life back and train with those guys and, you know, teach them a trick or two and me take up a trick or two, it's good. You know, fighters build fighters.
Talked about Hall and his amount of Muay Thai experience. What do you do then to employ your cage experience? Because you have, you know, 10 times as many MMA fights as he does. Even though he does have that Muay Thai background, it's a different animal in that cage.
Yeah, totally. I definitely want to, you know, use MMA for my advantage. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been to Thailand a couple times. I fought out there. Like, I've had my Muay Thai experience. But yeah, man, this isn't Muay Thai. This is MMA. A little bit of everything. So I'm excited to get in there and showcase my all-around MMA skills, whether it be in the middle of the cage, whether it be up against the cage, whatever it may be, man. You know, we're going to have to take care of it, and I'm excited to see. So I definitely want to do a little bit of everything.
What is some wise knowledge that you've picked up from your last journey to this journey that's made you smarter in preparation?
Yeah, you know what? Definitely how to train smarter. If it's one thing I've done, I've overtrained a lot in the past, and I've definitely pushed it in the past. And I'm at that point to where, you know, I've seen a lot, I've been through a lot, and it's nice to be able to get another chance to do it right again. You know, like, yeah. So I definitely want to put my knowledge to test, and, you know, try to do it right, and hopefully learn from my mistakes I made in the past and not make them again.
When I saw the announcement on the Facebook page, Angelo Sanchez in the co-main event, I got a little giddy. I mean, some epic wars that you've put on in the state of New Mexico. Have you received any messages from fans since this announcement?
Yeah, you know what? I think everybody was pretty much just as shocked as you. But yeah, man, definitely everybody's pretty excited. I have had a couple people that have been wanting to watch me fight, you know, for a while now, and, you know, a lot of people are hitting me up for tickets, and yeah, man, this is one of those fights where all of a sudden everyone's first row, and it's good, man. It's good to know that people are still out there, and people still, you know, like, want to watch me fight, and people still tell me stories about fights that they've seen, and, like, yeah, man, it gives me that life, you know, to want to get in there and just do it all over again, but, you know, do it even better.
Like any great play, this is just going to be Act 2 of it. Angelo Sanchez, can you give us a last word on your excitement for your return?
Yeah, man, I definitely want to thank all the fans here in New Mexico I've known you guys for a while, whether it be boxing, whether it be MMA, whether it be in the grappling scene. Like, you guys have been awesome. Like, one of the reasons, besides trying to see how good I am and test my skills and knowledge that I fight, is definitely for you guys. Like, you guys make me want to fight harder. So I definitely want to thank all the fans, all my trainers and coaches, get them out there. I'm excited not only there, like, to test myself to see where I'm at, but I'm excited to get in there and, put on one more show for everybody and be the Sinai Warrior that you all talk about and come out there and represent not only my state, but obviously my country, fighting a guy from Canada. So, yeah, man, like, I'm excited. I'm happy. Definitely, Ray Yee, Coach Trell, there, Albuquerque and Latrell Fitness, Thomas Pless and Fred Martinez. They're at Saturday Fitness and Martial Arts. All my teammates from all the gyms I travel around at. Yeah, man, like, here comes the Sinai Warrior one more time. Like, let's get in there, let's lock that cage, and let's see what happens.
Jackson's MMA Series 20, December 3rd at the Buffalo Thunder Resort and Casino. Angelo Sanchez, thank you for the time, and there'll be more DC Life Uncensored in just a moment.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
We're a dental laboratory that specializes in protective mouth guards for all sports. With the input and collaboration of professional athletes, dentists, and chemical engineers, Damage Control offers protection that is up to 417% greater than the competition. And a great fit that will make you forget you're even wearing a mouth guard. UFC champions, professional bull riding champions, and Mr. Olympian champions. These are athletes that depend on us for the ultimate protection. It's the most comfortable, most protective, and best fitting mouth guard. Breathe better, feel better, play better with the Damage Control mouth guard.
ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security, patrol, and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063. 6063 or online at callisp.com. You're back with the DC Life Uncensored, and one more time, thank you Angelo Sanchez and Kevin Croom, my great guests this week. Right now, as we're heading towards the end of the show, you know what time it is. Time to jump into the CageMinds.com local scene. We'll start out with a couple congratulations that are due, as Jordan Espinosa with the unanimous decision and Slade Ring with a submission this weekend, both victorious at Rocky Mountain Rubicon 3. Slade coming back with an amateur 135-pound bantamweight title bout, and Jordan, now a pro 125-pound regional title holder. Congratulations to both of them. Now, as we look towards this weekend, locally, November 4th, Friday night, want to get out locally, see some fights, check out the amateurs. We got boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai. It's at Fit NHB Battlegrounds. You know what time it is. Always a great show, action-packed. Get out and support locally. Out in Texas, there's going to be Extreme Knockouts 33, where a longtime friend of the show, friend of the site, Marquise Smith, used to rep Lookouts, now with Team Takedown out there in Texas, gonna be making his pro debut. That's Extreme Knockouts 33 in Dallas. Also this weekend, this Saturday, November 5th, Steven Scrappy Do Cervantes is going to be taking up Cody Stanman at Knockout Promotions 51 up in Michigan. It's the main event up there. Clovis's Paco Castillo is defending his 135-pound title at Battle on Boot Hill against Rashawn Jones. So a lot of action this weekend with the local fighters getting out across the country. And like we said, even some former local fighters. Follow us to the following weekend. We're talking about November 12th. Yes, well, most eyes will be on UFC 205. There's still local action. In Denver, Colorado, there's Dog Fights 3. It's a night of boxing. Sean Cooper versus Randy McCarty of Red Spider MMA, Las Cruces' own. on that card. And also in a Rocky Mountain regional title bout, heavyweights, Kenny Lomas versus Ronald Baca of Grants, New Mexico. We're going to try to get in touch with Ronald, have him on next week's show. Also, we just got done talking to him. November 12th is when Kevin Croom is in Tokyo, Japan for Shuto on UFC Fight Pass. November 19th, now we're getting to where the fights are actually local. November 19th, Art of War down in Clovis. Omar Acosta moving up from middleweight to heavyweight to take on the Killer Gorilla, Cedric James, in the main event. We're going to get an article up on CageMinds.com very soon with all the details for this event, pro and amateur action to be talked about for November 19th. November 26th, King of the Cage, Duke City 2, happening at the Embassy Suites. Sonny Yan. Ah, fuck me. King of the Cage, Duke City 2, November 26th. King of the Cage, Junior Flyweight title, world title, main event with Tim Sosa and Johnny Yen meeting. You also have Randy McCarty and Anthony. You also have November 26th, Embassy Suites, King of the Cage presents Duke City 2. The King of the Cage Junior Flyweight World Title on the line. Johnny Yen of Red Spider MMA. Tim Sosa of Fit NHB. Co-main event has Judgment MMA's Anthony Rosema versus Red Spiders. Randy McCarty. Randy busy as we're talking about him. Fights all over the place, everywhere. Going to be an action-packed night. 2 nights. After you have your fill of turkey, get your fill on fights. Oh, yeah. December 3rd, the following weekend, it's a double dose of action, boxing and MMA locally, which I kind of hate when this happens because then I got to run around crazy trying to figure out where everything needs to get covered, but enough of my complaining. Jackson's MMA series, December 3rd, at the Buffalo Thunder Resort and Casino. Josh Moreno, Sonny Yan in the main event. Angelo Sanchez, our great guest this week, returning to the cage, taking on Dave Hale in the co-main event. Same night, you also have down the road at Camel Rock Casino, Legacy Boxing, Tony Valdez, Joaquin Zamora, the Sanchez brothers, Angelo Leo, a ton of great boxing action that night. So, wherever you are locally, there's going to be fights. Northern, New Mexico, we got Southern, Northern. From November 19th to December 3rd, there is a ton of action going on in the state. 4 great events, MMA all over the place, even some boxing sprinkled in. Go to CageMinds.com. We have interviews up with Heather Clark, who's going to be in action at this week's UFC Fight Night 98. We'll also be reposting on the Facebook page our recent interview not too long before he moved out to Texas to join Team Takedown. Review what we talked about with Marquis Smith as he's about to make that pro debut. Again, thank you Kevin Croom and Angelo Sanchez. Thank you to the Fight Shop New Mexico. Visit them on the northeast corner of the Coors and Montano intersection, the far north end of the shopping center. Visit the Fight Shop New Mexico. Thank you to Damage Control Mouthguards and International Strategic Partners. This has been the DC Life Uncensored.